Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Thursday, February 11th, and this is virtual lunch number 238. Ethan Treese is our guest. He is the CEO of Nuix North America.
So I've been at Nuix about 4.5 years. I look after and support our North American market. I worked for several years at really the intersection of data and technology, and how do you leverage data and technology to solve a variety of different types of problems. And that's really one of the things that I love at Nuix. Able to take something, an asset, and be able to deploy it against a variety of different types of problems was always really, really interesting to me. We think about the engine itself and its ability to help solve a variety of different problems for a variety of different types of clients, such as regulators or law firms or corporations or advisories and service providers, and the breadth of problems across each of those organizations where we can help. Nuix is a really attractive opportunity for me outside just the culture of the organization and so forth. So today our focus, obviously, we've been on a journey here for a number of years and culminating with a big event in December. But my focus continues to be how do we grow out the North American market, which represents a little more than half of our business today. I gotta be honest, I feel like I work a lot more. Maybe I was just lazy before, but I feel like everything gets blended together unless you're purposeful about blocking out time. Try to be more purposeful about connecting with people as well and establishing relationships. I think it's hugely important, just checking in with people, seeing how they're doing. And as I think about some of the initiatives we have planned and are doing right now as it relates to our employees, employee wellness right now is a huge topic and incredibly important, I think, both physically as well as mentally. And so I think trying to be really present and cognizant about the things that our folks are going through from a personal perspective and supporting them however we can is just hugely important. If there's a silver lining that comes out of this, certainly technology has become more prevalent. I think it's really going to influence the workforce of the future and how we think about it, retaining and attracting folks to our organization. I think there's been a huge humanistic aspect to this as well, where I think there's aspects of each person's individual life that we get to see now, which I think helps in a strange way forge stronger relationships. We'll expect more from one another. We'll expect more from a leadership perspective. And it's shown that maybe some of the things that we thought maybe weren't as possible before, particularly as it relates to remote workforce and how you attract and retain the best and the brightest. Folks that work for different organizations will be looking for those types of employers that are going to invest in their wellness, that are going to invest in their development, that are going to be more flexible in terms of how they work. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where I work from, as long as you can produce the outcomes that you're looking to produce. We will see a real material change in the workforce. And I do believe, Ari, that a more humanistic view we have and looking at a whole person, as opposed to just a work person, is going to carry forward in a positive way. Is legal technology sexy? There's a lot of investment into this market. There's a lot of merger and there's a lot of interest in the market, both from private equity as well as outside capital. And you continue to see mergers and consolidations in the industry bringing technology together. So I think it's a hugely exciting space, and certainly one for us as we think about the pandemic, early days, March, April, and looking at it going, oh, geez, what are we going to do? But we feel really strongly about our ability to help customers during this remote workforce, and that's represented in some of the recent releases we've done. And then we think about what's going to come out of it. Look, there's going to be a lot of investigations that come out of this. Tons. There's going to be regulatory oversight that's increased as a result of the pandemic, employer-employee relations. You think about that. We love that. We work with all the regulators around the world. We're very optimistic and bullish about where this market is going, how our technology fits into it in terms of being able to help corporations, regulators, advisory, service providers, and law firms. The way we think about our constituents globally is really in what we call 5 domains. The first one to work through is government. Whenever we enter new geographic markets, typically our entry point is going to be working with government agencies. And really that's focused largely on regulatory bodies. And they use our technology certainly to understand what the bodies that they're working with are doing. The natural extension of that, the corporations we largely work with are those entities that are also reasonably regulated. We focus heavily from a corporate perspective on banking and financial services, insurance, energy, healthcare, and life sciences. And honestly, as well, the last couple of years, we've been blessed to be able to bring on board a number of technology companies as well. One of the things that certainly has become most prevalent for all of us is just how do you manage a remote workforce? How do you go out and do collections? What is the technology that people are using today? And how do you create a collaboration platform that enables people to work with one another? And so as data continues to explode, as we think about a remote workforce, will be a continued remote workforce, what do our customers want? What do our customers need? From a development perspective, there's a lot of things we can go do. And let's face it, developers love to develop. And we got a lot of them, and they're really, really creative, and they're smart. And their cultural fit for us is incredibly important. We owe it to our team members, and we owe it to people that we're bringing on board. We are fortunate to have a wonderful team of folks around the globe. And these are folks that we work with every day, we build relationships with, and to collaborate and trust one another and being a safe space around that is hugely important. And not everybody's going to be a cultural fit. I wouldn't be a cultural fit for every organization either. And I think that mesh where there is a really good fit is incredibly important. Look, we don't always get it right either, to be completely honest, but you do your best to try to get it right. As we think about trends in the industry, there's going to be a real war for talent. Hiring good people is still really hard. I have not found the job market to have loosened up in our space. The organization of the future is going to have to bring more to the table than they've ever brought. Daunting on the one hand, but certainly exciting on the other. And then as you start thinking about a remote workforce, I actually view this remote workforce as a real possibility for us, as we're not necessarily focused on how do we hire in Sydney or how do we hire in Pittsburgh. It opens up all sorts of new wonderful opportunities for us to be able to expand our workforce in creative ways. Continuing to deliver more value to more clients across corporations by showing them what we do today remains an incredibly large growth area for us. Where we are most successful, I find, where we have the best engagements, where we grow the most, is where we are going above and beyond what we do from a technology perspective and are really focused on the client and the client experience. For law firms in particular, that is and will be a huge differentiator. We have found it is not just the quality of your technology, it is absolutely the people that you have on board. The people that you have on your team make all the difference. By far, single most important asset that we have. You'll see increased focus on client experiences. That speaks more broadly to what we need to do from a talent acquisition perspective, better automation and artificial intelligence. And everybody wants to talk about AI and ML. And yep, got it. Seen that for the last couple of years. It's taking that buzzword and turning it into actuality in terms of efficiencies. And that will continue to be really, really important. And then as we think about the workforce, we have new folks coming into the workforce. We have new eyes on technology and development and how do you do things better. Enabling them to work with new technology and things, supporting them is going to be hugely important. One of the trends that we need to figure out as a company is, particularly for our younger workers, in order for them to continue to succeed and be part of the organization, there's an argument to say that they shouldn't physically be in an office. So they're mentored and nurtured and feel like they're part of a team. So I think we got to find that right balance. We will continue to see digital data privacy, cybersecurity, be hugely important. We will continue to see continued investment into this industry, consolidation. Some of the challenges these organizations will have is actual integration of technology. The last thing I'd say is there's got to be a broader commitment across the industry to things like diversity, inclusion, and equality. That's a macro trend. A lot of organizations are hurting coming out of this pandemic. You're going to see an increase in commercial bankruptcy. There's no two ways about it. It's just going to happen. You're going to see challenges in the small business industry. You'll see more employer and employee litigation. And I think that bodes well for different organizations who are well positioned. I think absolutely you'll see more regulatory oversight, both based on the administration as well as some of the things you see happening. And then I don't know what's going to happen with the commercial real estate market, but it's not going to be the same that it was. And that in and of itself will bring with it a lot of litigation and a remake of that industry.
So you've, for almost 5 years, you've been involved with the Bright Focus Foundation. I'd love for you to just give us a quick sense of what that is.
So Bright Focus Foundation is an organization that funds early stage exceptional scientific research to defeat Alzheimer's, macular degeneration, and glaucoma, and provides expert information and support in those areas. It's at the forefront of brain and eye health. Brain and eye health are connected with one another, and most folks have been affected either directly or indirectly by somebody having dementia. It's the sixth leading cause of death. There is no cure. It is a hateful disease. And by the time you're 85, you have a 1 in 2 chance of having some form of dementia. So if I were to tell you have a 1 in 2 chance of winning the lottery, you would go buy a lot of lottery tickets. That's the game we're playing. I was working with an executive coach a number of years ago, and I was looking for something more. I was looking for another opportunity to try to take some of those skills and apply them into a place where it could be additionally useful outside of my work. It just, for me, was something more that I wanted to do, something more that I wanted to give back. I want to make as much of a difference as I can. And Bright Focus globally has funded 1,625 projects, 5,300 scientists in 25 countries. We currently fund roughly 225 projects around the world. And we operate in a space where early stage investigator-led research that's not going to be funded by anybody else is funded by us. It's innovative research, and we're trying to help find a cure to this disease. We were lucky enough to fund a couple of folks who won Nobel Prizes, a bunch of other awards. For me, it's an opportunity to be able to work with a bunch of folks to bring different backgrounds in this organization to help them think about the bigger macro problems and how we go solve some of these things beyond just the science aspect of it. And to the degree that I can help a little bit from an overall business perspective, then that makes me feel good about it.
Ethan Treese, everybody. What a privilege, Ethan. Thank you so very much. Thanks to Nuix for supporting this series.